Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EGFH Season 2 National Finals for Overwatch. Now, we started Nationals with 4 teams, 2 from the Connecticut region, the Kaynor Panthers and the Notre Dame Green Knights, and 2 from the Alaska region, the Palmer Moose Overlords and the Alaska Playmakers. But after a semifinals bout, both the Connecticut teams came out on top, so we have a rematch on our hands with a best of 5 between the Connecticut runner-up Notre Dame Green Knights and the Connecticut state champion Kaynor Panthers. I want to thank Mob Crush for helping us multi-stream this season. My name is Victor Vic Sharp-Watney, and for this grand final best of 5, I am joined by Dell.
Hey guys, now to get into this game, map selection will be pick band format with the map types being as followed. First, we'll be heading to Route 66, which is an escort map. Then we'll be heading to Nepal, which is control. Then we have Hanamura, Kings Row, and finally Dorado. It's going to be a great game. We've seen both these two teams play before, and I'm looking forward to it once again on Route 66.
Yeah, getting started on Route 66 here, Dell, and we've talked about these teams playing before. It was a bit of a one-sided match in the Connecticut State Finals with Kaynor taking that series, but we saw a pretty dominant semifinals from both teams this year.
Yeah, you're right. Those maps were very interesting. You know, you expected the Overlords or the other Alaska team to really show up, and they didn't get quite the match we were hoping for. But this should be a rematch of sorts for this final, and I'm really looking forward to it with both of the Knights and the Panthers putting on a big performance.
And we'll just have to see. Route 66 has been our starting map so often this season, Dell, and it's really been a momentum map in a lot of cases. What do you expect to see from this first one? Because we've seen both these teams run these GOAT-style comps before.
Yeah, Goats is definitely, one of the more strong comps in the meta at the moment. And when it comes to Goats, often it comes to kind of who plays the aggressive play style and who can really initiate and get that target focus down really quick. So hopefully we'll have a pretty good brawl here on Route 26 on first point as we head into this first match of the national finals.
Yeah, the Green Knights starting on the offense here. We'll have to see. Their offense in the semifinals very decisive, very strong. It started with a good initial push, Dell. What do they need to do to get that against a GOATS comp?
They just need to get the ult advantage, get Zarya high charge, and then hopefully snowball that ult advantage into convincingly clean fights like we saw in that semifinal.
And Nova already dropping down maybe a little bit unintentionally there for the Panthers, but they're wanting to push, they're wanting to contest this before it can make the first turn, and we're going to see a tight formation here from the Panthers. Haru jumping in there, trying to get the damage, is going to get taken down first. Nova picks up the first kill, and is just chasing down, getting the DMEC onto Live Memory, taking him down, and the Panthers starting to run through. They put their horns down, Dell.
They did indeed, and one of the things you have to remember with Goats is once you get that ult advantage going, like we see in the difference in charge in Zarya and Reinhardt, it's going to be very, very hard to get that game back. So what we need to see is a very decisive attack here, and maybe get a pick on Zenyatta or Zarya.
And one of the things that we can look for from the Green Knights, though, their ult patience in the semifinals was outstanding. If they can make up this difference, they still have a lot of tools to work with. But the Panthers are waiting for this. They want to keep this fight. Nova has the Earthshire, and it is massive to start. It is 4 down, and everyone falling from that. 5 kills before you can blink an eye. Monk falls as well, and that will be a team wipe.
Oh, team have one ultimate. That's the danger of Goats here, because now as we see, we have Eclipse and Andrew both with ultimates coming online very, very soon. And that's something where, if it's properly set up with a grab Diva Bomb, it's almost impossible not to get.
Yeah, and you look at what the Green Knights have to work with on the other side. Now, it's not much. Those ult charges are getting there, but maybe not enough to stop this 2 or 3 ult barrage that may come through. Nova's taking a lot of damage. Monk is getting close to Transcendence. We'll have to see if it goes down. There's the Transcendence. Diva Bombs are flying. Is it going to get anything? Andrew picks up Haru and Dunless with that, and that is the Panthers saying we can go. Live Memory's going to get demeched, is going to get staggered just a little bit, falling off the end there, but once again, Dell, only 2 ults used.
2 ults used, and you have to remember that was with the gravity as well. The Transcendence was popped from Monk, and it just didn't find all it needed because of a very nice Diva Bomb from Andrew. But this is do or die for the attacking team here. We need to see these Green Knights show up. Haru needs to get a big Graviton.
Yeah, and they're going to go for it. The Brigitte ults both come out. Who is going to get the key ultimate here? Haru is charging up, does have that Graviton if they can look for it. There's the Graviton. It's going to get a few, but there's the Transcendence to try and capitalize on it. The Diva Bomb comes through, does not get anything for Live Memory, and that should be enough to repel this attack. But Mr. McDouble and Nova both falling. Dunless still has Shatter. He's going to use it just to wear out the Graviton as well as pick up Eclipse, and the Green Knights, they'll finally maybe get a fight they're wanting for. Is Andrew trying to just stay on point, get delayed, is going to get demeched, is going to get taken out, and with a minute on the clock, the payload starts moving.
And a minute is kind of, we saw almost a 3-minute hold there just on one fight alone, and that's kind of the power of goats. So hopefully we can see the attacking team here with the Green Knights snowball their advantage that they have in the form of Zarya charge and hopefully better position.
Yeah, you mentioned that Zarya charge. Haru at 76% compared to Eclipse's 10. That could be key here. They're going to fight to hold this first point. With 35 seconds left, the Panthers feel like they can take this. Andrew's going to go in with the Diva Bomb. Is not going to find anything. Haru does fall, though, from the distraction. And that is a Zarya with Graviton out of the fight. And the Green Knights are just being pushed back. 20 seconds to go. They have to just keep people alive. Haru's back in the fight, but Live Memory going down as well. Rivsy's going to use that Brigitte ultimate, try and push them forward. 10 seconds left. They have to get to the payload here, Dell. It is so far away from them right now. Transcendence propped immediately so they can get forward. Haru trying to use Graviton, but isn't going to get anything. Overtime's ticking down. They are on the point, but Nova not quite able to find too much with that Earth Shatter. The ults dueling here. No big casualties coming yet. Spaghetti with a beautifully timed beat, but it does not get to Dunless, and the fight's just continuing on to the point. A huge 3K Diva Bomb from Andrew might be enough to turn this fight here. As only 2 members of the Green Knights remaining on the payload. It's only this Lucio standing between the Panthers in a near full hold, Dell, and that's not going to be enough. 0 for the Green Knights.
Not enough indeed, but one of the things that you have to watch there is that the both Divas got grav eats there multiple times, which is quite impressive. And ultimately the reason why the Green Knights didn't take that victory was because of Haru's overextension. Haru just ran into the enemy team by himself, and he got punished for it. And that's just something you can't do on goats, and that's ultimately why they didn't find themselves successful in that attack. So hopefully they have just as successful a defense, but it's absolutely crucial they win this first fight.
Yeah, and you can see almost 73 meters, the result of their offense. It's not too tall of a task here for the Panthers, especially, Dell. We saw them take advantage in those beginning fights when both teams are fighting for ult economy. Yes, they snowballed it very well once they got advantage, but they still won the first fight while they were even.
Yeah, those even fights are those moments of opportunities, those buyback windows, because people do make mistakes, and those mistakes can learn into fights. But simple mistakes like positioning or poor ult usage are defining in the name of fights. Like if you don't have good positioning or if you don't have good ultimate usage, it's almost impossible to win. And what we saw from that defense was very clinical usage. Andrew, time and time again, got big bombs. We saw beautiful earth shatters from Nova, and all in all, they just use their ults better, and that's something that's just really good with ult.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think back on, Dell. I can't think of necessarily one ultra standout performance from the Panthers defense because the entire team was playing well. Jeff Woods wasn't called on for clutch transcendences because it wasn't really necessary, but the transcendents that came out were still good. Arkham Knight still had a good Lucio game. They do switch it around, though, here. Andrew quickly jumping on to the Hanzo just to try and get a result of where the Green Knights are located. They're going to come up from the cliff, drop down on top of them. This is their chance to maybe get momentum early here. They're pushed Nova away. Arkham Knight taking a lot of early damage, but they're forced to back away. The Panthers are just allowing this to go further and further. Live Memory's going to get demech. Rivsy's going to get taken out as well. The Earthshatter already out from Nova. It takes down Dunless, Spaghetti, and Monk fall as well. That's a team wipe, and the payload pushing hard towards that 73 meters, Dell.
That was one of the most convincing fight wins I've ever seen in my GOAT's career of watching it, and that's just showing the dominance that we are seeing here from the Panthers. They just showed up to play, and this final fight starting for the map on 66 here in the national finals. We'll start with a big pick.
Yeah, Dunless going to charge in there, just get to the payload in time, as well as pick up a kill, but the rest of the Green Knights are not there to contest. They are going to go down because Live Memory cannot stay on point. dominant game one has kind of been the theme of the season, Dell, and this time it goes to the Panthers.
Panthers, like we just mentioned, they showed up in a big way, and it was really nice to see. When these matches, on a national scale, especially in finals, when there's a lot on the line, it's impressive to see quite a good performance as we saw. I mean, you're going to see Andrew with a big 3K here to clutch that overtime fight.
Yeah, that 3K was absolutely huge because that was one of the better fights we'd seen the Green Knights be able to get at that point, and it just wasn't able to get anything, and the cards at the end show it there. But Dell, the Green Knights have kind of been in this situation before. What do you have to do now to get yourself back into the second game as we're going to move over to Nepal? How do you reset yourself as a team?
So I think the most important part to remember is that Nepal has 3 stages, and those stages are different, and they're not all defined by goats. So you have maps like Sanctum or even Village, which can have a very variety of comps that you can run on it. So they might have room in the form of not running into a goats v goats matchup, but also you have to remember that the first map can always be rusty. Maybe you didn't get your warm up scrim, maybe one of those things happened and they didn't go the right way for you.
Yeah, and we've seen these control point maps swing wildly at times, Dell, especially this season. You mentioned not having goats. We've seen the Green Knights be very successful in goats, but now that they've run head first into another strong goats comp in the Panthers, do they look to switch it up?
You know, uh, Unfortunately, in this meta, goats is just very dominant. So I'd say probably not. One of the things you could do is you could run maybe a spam based competition with like a Farah or a Hanzo, and maybe try to play the farm and ultimate to engage a fight. But ultimately, I think, as we head into Nepal Sanctum, this is one of those maps that is mostly played in Ursa-based comps, so we won't see goats anyways, hopefully. But when it comes to a goats matchup, honestly, you just have to tighten up your cooldown usage and tighten up your positioning, because I think it's as far as terms of skill goes, skill isn't the factor here. It's just communication and teamwork.
Well, and we've seen the Sanctum point of Nepal a lot in recent streams, Dell, and it really seems like the DPS have come up big from the teams that end up taking control of this. We saw an interesting strategy from the Green Knights last time around. It looks like they're running something similar here with the crossfire sniper of Ash and Hanzo.
Yeah, that's something that's really, really powerful. And also, you have to remember when you run a comp like a double sniper like that, you have just a lot of utility and a lot of ultimates to work with. At Bob is a very powerful ultimate to contest point, and Dragon is just very, very good at zoning teams out of any spot you don't want them to be. And the interesting thing really is we're seeing a variation of goats that isn't too popular, but we're seeing a Andrew on ball or a hamster instead of Diva. So that might be the extra little element they need to catch these snipers off by surprise.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see how this works, Doug, because as you said, it's a variation of goats, and we just kind of finished talking about this. Isn't a great goats point here, and the crossfire's already been set up by the Green Knights. Yes, the Panthers have position on the point, but the damage, if it can start coming through here, could be key. Eclipse, you already see taking a big shot to the face there, and Nova's going to be the first one taken out by Live Memory. Numbers advantage. Eclipse taken out as well. That dueling sniper really putting in work right now for the Green Knights. They're going to push onto the point. They're going to get there first. Andrew's going to get taken down. Jeff Woods as well. And unlike in the first map, Dell, the Green Knights have momentum.
They do, and you also notice some key role swaps here. We see Spaghetti on the Orisa instead of Lucio, and we also see Monk favoring to play Anna over Zenyatta, which is maybe just a compositional switch that they needed to make to get the advantage.
Yeah, Live Memory already charging up that Hanzo out. Haru 80% of the way to unleashing Bob on the map. No changes kind of coming out from the Panthers. No overreaction to that first fight, but Jeff Woods taking a big hit early. And this is what the Green Knights comp was successful with in the semifinals. 3 ultimates now charged up. If they want to unleash chaos, they can. Live Memory's going to start this fight off trying to use just that. Bob's going to come out as well right onto the point, trying to get there. Is going to stay on the point just barely, and Arkham Knight's going to be the first one to fall. Bob is going to fall, but that's going to be pretty much worth it as Mr. McDouble, Nova, and Andrew fall in quick succession. 50% on the point, Dell, and this is the Green Knights holding firm.
Holding firm is definitely the best way to put that. They did use a lot of ultimates, but they have to remember they have a Rissa Bonko, which can be used as kind of a get ult fast button, if for lack of a better word. But we are going to see an alt or a compositional change from the Panthers here. That we are going to see an Ursa Hog based comp, and that might be what they want to take control of, hopefully, at this point before we see that round tick away.
Yeah, 74%. They have to get on here and maybe try and make something happen quick if they want two chances at this. Live Memory, 90% already, getting so close to another Hanzo ult. There's that charge ult fast button that you were talking about from Spaghetti. Nova's going to be the first one to fall. Monk trades life for it. The point ticks over in the meantime. Mr. McDouble, Arkham, and Eclipse all fall. Live Memory pays for the transgression. They do switch the point over, Del, so it's not quite over yet, but at 87%, this is very close, and we're seeing the changes come out. Eclipse going on to Tracer. The call is made. We have to get on to point, and we have to do it quick here. 95% taking up. Nova's trying to get there. Immediate use of Arkham Knight's ultimate to get onto the point. They're trying to get this capped. It is on overtime, and right now, just getting on there to contest it. Andrew trying to get forward as that hamster get on there is going to be pushed back. Dunless has the ultimate. Eclipse is the first one taken out. Haru gets the kill. Bob is going to come into the fight. Jeff Woods is taken out as well. That is one of those supports down. Andrew falling. Monk's going to pay, but it's not enough. Overtime is ticking off, and it will be 0.1 to the Green Knights.
0.1, and that just shows you how much a map can make a difference and what teams are running what compositions. And also it can show you how tempo is completely determined by the pace of that map. And the Green Knights did a perfect reset there. They opened strong with a composition that they knew that they liked, and they did very well with it. And I'm interested to see, right now they're showing a May based composition for Village here on Nepal, and this might be what they needed to get back into a 1-1 game.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Mays. Obviously, Village very well suited for May styles, as we see right now. Mr. McDouble also hovering that. Gonna switch it off and maybe give that over to Eclipse. So very similar compositions, Del. Kind of a similar situation to what we saw on Route 66. In that case, it was the Panthers coming out on top. Can the Green Knights answer?
I hope they can. And interestingly enough, we have both May players are formerly the Zarya, so we will not see any Diva this map, it looks like.
And a big chunk of Monk's health taken out so quickly there, Del. This fight has gotten on to the point. Spaghetti's going to be the first one down, though, and that numbers advantage is what the Panthers were looking for as they're pushing through. Haru was caught out a little bit, is able to stay alive. Point is live, though. Haru's going to fall. That should give first cap over to the Panthers as the Green Knights are forced to back up.
Forced to back up, we did see a pretty equal ult charge, but we are going to see Nova come up on top with a lot of Earth Shatter charge here. And if it's anything like Route 66, he might use this Earth Shatter ultimate to secure a big advantage for his team.
Especially when Dunless is only at 25%, Del, that's something to be very aware of. The discrepancy in the Reinhardts is huge, and here they come, speed boost in. They're trying to find an opening here, and the Green Knights just stopped in their first push by Eclipse's May. They're trying to force the fight onto the point. A May while there, the Earthshatter is going to come through. It is going to cause Spaghetti to go down. Mr. McDouble trades life, though. Transcendence is down from Monk to try and get them out. The Graviton on point is getting a lot of damage down. Nova and Arkham are going to fall. Blizzard is used as well by Haru, and that is going to wipe the remaining members of the Panthers. 45% or so taking over, but it's Green Knights to get the cap.
Green Knights to the cap, but we do have Andrew and Eclipse's combo as well coming up this next fight. So this fight needs to be played very, very tight, and there needs to be very little room for error, as this May Blizzard combo is just so lethal as we saw them take the point.
Well, Dunless does have that shatter up. Spaghetti is getting very close, and the dueling May walls just trying to stop pushes where they can. Rivsy is also very close to being able to drop the beat. That could be huge. Blizzard is going to be used towards the point, but the Graviton doesn't get a whole lot. Mr. McDouble is going to be the first casualty. Dunless falls as well, as it was a very good wall from Haru to try and keep them there. Spaghetti is almost going to fall. Rivsy going to drop the beat. Not quite enough to save that Brigette, and now fighting on the point. This is a long fight. Graviton is going to be used. Counter here. Jeff Woods is going to be able to take out Haru. Live Memory falling as well, and the Panthers didn't necessarily start that fight great, but end it fantastically.
What really convincingly won that point was actually that Blizzard split the team so hard that they were just able to focus down and get that point cap. So really excellent focus there from the Panthers, and just even though that combo of the Graviton Mail wasn't perfect, it still ended up winning them the fight in the end.
And another key thing, it's talking about ults. Dunless did not get a chance to use the shatter there. We've seen some massive shatters from him in this Nationals tournament, so not being able to get that out is huge. Monk has Transcendence as well, though, so at 71%, they feel like they can charge forward here. Haru is at 80% and building towards another Blizzard. They are trying to get down. Mr. McDouble gets caught out and is going to get taken down first in this fight. Dueling Transcendences as the teams just stare at each other. Graviton Surge used by Andrew, and the Blizzard comes through. Is it going to be enough to turn the fight? Haru's get taken down. Spaghetti goes down. Dunless is able to get out and get towards the rest of the Panthers, but they fall one by one. And with 95%, we should be going 2.3 here, Dell.
0.3, and it really is anyone's game, and it shows you exactly again how much a map can make a difference. And you have to remember with this map of Shrine, it's a very open and different map. Goats competitions have been run on it, but we've also seen Pharahs as well as Ashes and even quad DPS on occasion. So one of the things that could really be understated here in this national finals match, between the KT Panthers and the Green Knights, is that anything can happen, and I'm intrigued to see if we're going to see a goats v goats, and maybe the Green Knights can take it this first fight on Village. All right, Shrine.
Yeah, and we'll have to see on this Shrine. I hope the Green Knights kind of have an answer to a goats here, Dell, because from what we've seen of this matchup so far, when it's goats v goats or any kind of one of those possible configurations of goats, it's been in favor of the Panthers. They're playing it just a little bit crisper right now, and as we come in here, it looks like we're just in for goats v goats.
Goats v goats, but you have to remember that the Panthers have control of the point, as the Green Knights had a little bit of trouble in spawn there, and that positional advantage forces the enemy team to come through that choke, and that's just really brutal, as we're seeing Zarya bubbles be used.
Yeah, and you're seeing that damage come through here. Haru getting taken really low. Live Memory getting jumped on from the back. Nova is actually the first one to fall. Dunless trades, though. Live Memory taken out, turns the tide. Haru getting demech, gives the Panthers the go button, as it is only the supports remaining as the Green Knights are routed in this first fight.
And that just shows you how much an advantage position can give you. The Clips had no pressure on him to use Zarya bubbles, and by using those bubbles second, it gives your Ryan such a big advantage in the form of free damage that is uncounterable. And that's something that those little hesitations in spawn can really set yourself up for not what you want.
Yeah, 14% ticking. This is the situation the Panthers have excelled in, having positional advantage, having ult advantage as well, as Eclipse is at 82% and charging towards that Graviton. Nova has the Shatter if they want to look for it. Jeff Woods' Transcendence gives them a chance here, and Nova not getting anything with the Shatter, going down for it. Monk popping the Transcendence, that is the go button. Dueling Transcendences here from Jeff Woods. All the ult buttons being pushed in. Andrew with a 4K Diva Bomb to push the Green Knights back. That looked so tense for a second, Dell, and Andrew once again breaks it wide open.
That was an interesting turn of events there. We saw Nova go for the 360 shatter there. Did not find all he wanted, but his team backed him up with a beautiful Graviton combo, and Andrew getting a nice clean 4K there. 53%. This is do or die for Nepal and the 2-0 lead, so we need to see some big plays being made with all these ultimates we have on the side of the.
Yeah, that's the advantage here for the Green Knights. They have the ult advantage. We saw them win a fight on Route 66 in this similar situation. They have to go for it, though. Live Memory and Rivs here both going to press the ult button. The Diva Bomb's going to come through. It is going to get two as Eclipse and Mr. McDouble fall. Nova falls, is being forced away by that Diva Bomb. Arkham Knights ult doesn't get a whole lot here, and it's pretty much Andrew left alone on the point. Gonna get demeched, gonna go down, and it's 82%. Gonna tick up towards about 85 by time this cap switches, but the Green Knights are alive.
So the important thing here for the Green Knights is they have to maintain their advantage. They don't have much of one, but they do have enough that they can turn this back into an even playing field. What we need to see from the Panthers as well is just building a good amount of Zarya charge and then engaging properly. And we are going to see this fight.
Yeah, the fight's going to start on the point. The Panthers are not afraid and just charging right in. Dunless and Monk have ults if they can look for them. They're being patient. Jeff Woods has a dueling Transcendence. Dunless falls without being able to use the Earth Shatter. Haru's going to get demeched, and that is possibly disaster for the Green Knights in this fight as Mr. McDouble's ult is ticking down. Jeff Woods is trying. The beat from Spaghetti was dropped, but here is Eclipse's Graviton, and that is enough for the Panthers as they push through 85% and ticking up. Dell, they might have one more shot if they can get here.
If they can get here is the big question. We doesn't look like we're going to see all of the touch that we thought we were going to, and it's going to be a very hard time. Spaghetti is going to go for the big rollout here, but does get booped away, and ultimately the point will not be touched, and the map will go to the KT Panthers.
Yeah, so close there. Multiple members of the Green Knights not quite able to get onto point, but Dell 2-0 hole for the Green Knights now. We see Andrew, we can I think all guess what this play of the game is. That massive 4K that turned the fight again in favor of the Panthers. If this happens on Hanamura, we may see a 3-0 in the books here, Dell.
We could. The interesting thing is that when it comes to a goats to goats matchup, we're seeing the Panthers take the lead here, but it is close enough that anything could still happen. And one of the things that I want to stress here is that alternate compositions seem to be working well for the Green Knights, and that might be something they want to look to force. Even if it isn't ideal for the map, maybe it's just playing more to their personal strengths. Maybe that's what they need to get themselves a tooth in this game.
Yeah, they need some stepping point here. They were able to take that first Nepal point, but losing the back-to-back, going to Hanamura in the O2 hole is not a place that we've seen success much in this season, Dell. And we're seeing the Panthers, as you said, very well in the Goats v Goats. The Green Knights have seen success. What can the Panthers do to maybe mitigate any success if the Green Knights pull an alternate comp here?
The Green Knights with an alternate comp is still going to be playing at a disadvantage because Goats is a superior comp. So I don't think much is changed. I just think that room for error is something that you have to play for in these finals because there's a lot of pressure on both sides of the team. And so by exploiting the fact that maybe you can run something that they don't catches them off guard and just completely blows them out of the water will be their way to this.
We'll just have to see. This is such a key map, and the first offensive here can be absolutely crucial for momentum, Dell. It's kind of been a point of momentum has been the point of the series so far, but it seems on Hanamura maybe even more so that time, and especially as we saw in the semifinals, something like a full hold is just a momentum killer.
Exactly, and momentum is definitely in the game. We saw the map change in Nepal, led the Green Knights to their first round win, so maybe they can just establish it right off the bat. Because you have to remember is that no one has a big advantage when it comes to goats, and it just comes down to that perfect execution in that first fight. So hopefully we see a big play from the Green Knights, and maybe some over aggressive play can lead them to getting themselves back in this match as we head into this first point of Hanamura.
And the Green Knights have their chance to make their statement here, Dell. They are on defense first here, if I'm correct. And it's a situation we saw them succeed in the semifinals. They weren't under maybe the same pressure they're under in this series, but it's still something they can fall back on, memories of what worked here.
Exactly, and you have to remember too, it looks like we're going to see a bastion-based composition here, which is something that is very good at dealing with goats. The management of how you rotate, maybe you have your diva contest point, it just enables your bastion to completely shred the enemy team. And the other thing that's important too is that they don't have Symmetra on the form of in the defense, so they're not as mobile as some of the bastion comps we've seen before. And so what that means specifically for the defenders here is that they have to have very good rotations with their tanks here to make sure they contest point as their bastion does a lot of work.
Yeah, and you see that bastion, they're set up to defend this. They're up on the high ground. That's kind of an interesting setup that we've seen. Andrew may have been able to spot it out with that Sombra push, and now they switch over to the Goats. That first push could be key here. They're going to give up a lot of room to try and make this bastion work, and they're trying to pull him down, but the Panthers know exactly what they're going into. Just get underneath of Haru, and Dell, that was beautiful scouting.
It was a great play from Andrew here. We are going to see Eclipse actually start the point tick, and there's nothing that can be done here. The rotation just can't happen, and this is going to be absolutely disastrous here for the defense.
Yeah, the Green Knights just barely contesting that second tick, but this is difficult position for them. That second tick's going to go down. They haven't been able to move off this high ground because that's where Haru is set up. They do take down Nova. Mr. McDouble, very low lib memory, is going to get demeched and taken down. Mr. McDouble falls as Haru charges into the point now with the tank form of this bastion, trying to find anything. Dunless falling as well, though, and with Monk just delaying the push, they're now trying to get on there. Dunless is going to get rezzed up by Spaghetti. Andrew going to get taken down. Dunless falling yet again, though. They have to stay on this point because it is so close to point A falling. Rivsy's going to fall. The ultimate from Jeff Woods has had time to charge up. They're getting in there. Haru is forced to fall, and it's only Live Memory defending this. It was a scrappy fight once they got onto the point, but still the Panthers come out with momentum.
And you have to remember that they're not going to have enough time to set up Bastion. They are going to immediately swap to Goats with Goats v Goats, and the ultimate advantage from the Panthers here is going to be really hard to work with from the 9-7.
Yeah, and this is difficult for the Green Knights as they've already been pushed onto the point, but Eclipse getting taken down without being able to use that Zarya bubble is key here. Andrew almost falling as well, but Dunless and Haru are going to fall on the flip side. Rivsy going down as well. They don't even need Eclipse's Graviton for this fight right now, as Nova has the ult. If they want to try and use it, Diva Bomb is going to come through from Live Memory, is not going to get anything though, and now the members of the Panthers are all here. Andrew's bomb's going to come through, is going to take down Spaghetti in combo with the slam there from Nova. Haru's going to get taken down. Eclipse is here, still has that Graviton Surge if needed, but they are just pushing the Green Knights around.
And this fight is just one of the classic Hanamura stalls where we're just seeing anything to be done here. But just ultimately the numbers advantage and the ultimate advantage on the side of the Panthers is just leading them to eventually hopefully getting some ticks on the point as they take that.
Yeah, and they're going to use the Graviton key there. They're getting all 3 ticks off of that one Graviton. And Dell, that was momentum personified there. I mean, as soon as they got on to point B, they never gave up.
Exactly, and one of the things that you have to remember is that because you went for a Bastion defense, you just don't have the ults or the ult advantage that we saw Eclipse lead his team with the Panthers. And because they had an ult advantage, they just have such a big advantage. Because when you're going into Goats to Goats, again, we just talk about ult advantage, and that is just going to lead you to snowbally fights like that. So even though we saw a moderately good defense, what could have been disaster for the Green Knights, they do have a little bit of a window to work with here, because 5 minutes, while it does seem like a lot, it can be dealt with, and 2CP can go any way as long as the clock has a little bit of time on it.
Yeah, and the Green Knights, in my opinion, Dell, just maybe need to reset here. That was a very smart defensive start, but the Panthers have just been one step ahead, it seems like, at every point. Andrew, with that Sombra scout, was almost genius from the Panthers to really scout out what the Green Knights were doing, and it allowed them to execute almost to perfection on that first point.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have kind of like what we call an option setup like that, where you use your Sombra to scout, what you do is you let the team not only know that you have a couple different options to use, but also you're prepared for a lot of situations. And so what we should have seen from that defensive team was an immediate rotation to point, because if you don't have something like a Symmetra to instantly teleport you to point or high ground, any ways to contest, you're just going to be left out to dry, as we saw the Ghost team just take the point very convincingly.
Yeah, and we are seeing a change here from the Green Knights as they are running 4 support with Live Memory and Dunless as their tanks. Haru maybe trying to get in there and set some portals up before leaving, but Haru getting taken out by Eclipse and Rivsy and Monk all falling. 3 of those 4 supports are down, and Spaghetti is not going to be any better here. Live Memory falling, and just once again, Dell, the answer to the Panthers is to run through the Green Knights.
Running through them, indeed. You know, Symmetra is one of those heroes that can work a lot of ways, but against the Goats team, it doesn't really work, just for the reasons we just saw. We are going to see a very sneaky setup here from Nova, and he's going to look for a big pin here, and we'll see if he can.
Yeah, this is shades of what we saw from Dunless in the semifinals. Not going to quite be as effective as Nova just charges back to the team. Eclipse is just in the front lines. No fear from the Zarya, and 84% ult charge shows exactly why. Nova has charged up the Shatter. Might look for it if the situation arises. They're grouped up a little bit here. Hits a massive 4-man Earthshatter. They're going for it. Dunless falls. Nova falls. Haru gets demeched. It's the support there. Haru is going to get taken down slowly but surely by Andrew. They're charging in. Haru might be able to demech if he can get away. Will not. And 2.5 minutes left on the clock.
2.5 minutes of clock, and you know, 2CP does give you 4 minutes if you do capture that point. So we're not quite out of the danger zone yet. We are going to see a lot of ultimates from the Green Knights here, and hopefully we see some big plays here with all these support ultimates.
Yeah, a lot of ults on both sides really, Dell, here as we see Arkham getting close to that Lucio ultimate as well. Spaghetti gonna start it off with that Lucio ult, gonna try and push forward. Andrew and Eclipse are just using the combo. Once again though, drops the Diva Bomb behind him, picks up Spaghetti and Rivsy as Monk's ultimate did not protect those two supports, and now with Dunless and Live Memory left out to dry, it's only Haru remaining.
Haru is going to get out though, I think, with his mech. I believe he's in spawn, right? Yeah, so he is in spawn. So that was good. But we are going to see another sneaky play set up from Nova here. You know, one of the things that's different from the last time he went for this is he has shatter, so he doesn't need to look for a big pin. He can just hit that instant shatter for a big team.
And this has been situations we've seen. Going to go for the pin, though, instead does get it, I believe, onto Dunless. Pulling that tank in is huge. The shatter comes through as well, gets all 5 of the remaining members of the Green Knights, and they fall like dominoes.
They fall indeed. You know, that one of the things that's a pretty glorifying moment to get that shatter, but it wasn't necessarily needed as they already had the advantage. And that shatter might be the reason that Dunless is able to get his team back in this game.
Well, we'll have to see here, Dell. 1 minute to go. The Green Knights have to push in. They have to find some foothold in this map here. Dunless and Haru's ultimates could be the key. Rivsy's going to start it off with that support ultimate. They're going to go in for it. Live Memory's going to use the Graviton, but it gets eaten by Andrew. That is huge. The Diva Bomb from Haru doesn't have a nice setup for. They do get Jeff Woods' Transcendence for it, but a counter Graviton from Eclipse is enough to demech Haru. Monk trying to save life. They are on point. They are getting some ticks. And with Mr. McDouble down, they can look for this. Nova's going to fall as well. Monk does pay, but Andrew gonna get demeched, or just uses the Diva Bomb right at the end. Doesn't get anything as Eclipse picks up another kill into Dunless, though. This is now a very close fight in terms of numbers on the point, but with Haru getting demeched, Eclipse getting taken down, still fairly even here, and that's not what the Green Knights need. Is they need advantage. Jeff Woods, Arkham falling, Andrew falling will finally give them that advantage, as Nova's just buying time here on point, stalling, as we are 3 seconds away from ticking on to overtime here. Nova gonna maybe go. Mr. McDouble falls first, though. The first cap does happen, and the Panthers, they get it to overtime, but they give point A.
They give point A, and they also give up a big ultimate and just difference. And this is a snowball that can get this team right back in advantage. We do have Grav and a shatter and a beat just in the way on this attacking team, and so if they get it the right place, they could just as easily have 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, and they're going to try to push through, but a good answer from the Panthers, able to back up and try and just defend, not allow the snowball to come through. And now they're looking for the fault. There's the Graviton. It only catches onto Eclipse, really, though, so not a whole lot of value from that. It does take down Eclipse, and not able to have that counter Graviton is huge as Nova falls. Transcendence is going to come down, and the Diva Bomb does not get anything there from Haru, but Mr. McDouble falling, Andrew coming very close, Jeff Woods falling as well. The Green Knights momentum is still going strong. They've gotten 1 tick. It's Eclipse with the Graviton trying to get there, trying to find something. Nova has Shatter. If he can use it, he does, and only gets Rivsy for it. The Diva Bomb comes through and finishes off that support, but they are still fighting as Dunless and Monk pick up 2 more kills. They're trying to push through here. They're about halfway through that second tick if this fight can keep going. Jeff Woods falls. Mr. McDouble is probably going to fall here shortly in the front lines. It's just 2 of the tanks, but the spawn advantage here for the Panthers is being huge. Monk's going to pop Transcendence, and that is enough to push through. They are going to almost get that second tick, just not quite able to get it yet. Nova's going to get taken out. This fight just continuing, Dell, as spawn being a huge thing to keep the Panthers in this, but the Green Knights are just farming ult charge right now. Second tick's going to go down. The stall is trying to come out, but it feels like a matter of time, Dell.
Matter of time indeed. You know, there's just not really a way for the defending team to get back in here. The only thing they can do is continue to burn time, and that time is going to be a big resource here, as they get to potentially 3-minute time bank into a 2-minute time bank, and those extra minutes could be all the time in the world when it comes to these matchups. You know, we are going to see them start right out back off on attack, so it's kind of an interesting mechanic in the sense that the attacking team that has momentum still gets to hit them and set the tempo for this first push. So hopefully what we see is a snowballing of the tempo to capture that second point right into this first fight, and hopefully we see some big plays in the form of the Green Knights.
It is one thing to remember, though, Dell. They had so much trouble with this point A push the first time around. Yes, they have momentum right now. That was still a very good stall from the Panthers, both at point A to force overtime and then at point B to knock 2 minutes off the clock.
Exactly, and that those 2 minutes is something that's very very good, but the thing is it's still anyone's game, and that's the beauty of goats. And it's also the simplicity of goats is that anyone can show up. It all comes down to these first fights, and this first fight will determine not only the map score on Hanamura, but it also will determine potentially the finals victor here on our EGF national finals.
And we'll just have to see. It looks like we're setting up for no funny business this time around. Just goats v goats. And with 2 minutes for this first push, these first fights, as you said, Dell, could be almost the decider here. Because if the Green Knights can get momentum again, that could be crucial for this fight. And we'll just have to see. They're going to look for it, push right up into the choke point, and Nova is the first one to fall. Haru picks up the first kill, and this is something the Green Knights have not had in this series so far. Haru is going to get demeched, and Rivsy's going to fall, so Eclipse may be coming up huge here. Mr. McDouble getting taken down, though. Dunless falling as well. Fairly even on numbers left in this fight. We'll have to just see who decides to try and press advantage. Who can find that? Lib Memory is going to get taken down by Eclipse. Eclipse is 96%, does have the Graviton, and they force them back after the initial pick.
I have to just give a really big shout out to Eclipse here. He's just been the core of holding his team together. Even when Nova drops like that, his high charge Zarya play just led that team to really good focus. And that is just the big difference here. We're seeing, we saw a switch up in this Zarya player from the Knights in the form of Haru and Lib Emery, but it's just not finding the success that Eclipse is having here on its big pick.
Yeah, and Haru is stuck trying to find something on this D.Va. It is 4 ultimates. Nova pretty much the only major ultimate not available for the Panthers. They're going to DMAC Haru fairly quickly in this fight. Monk and Dunless have ultimates if they can use it. There's going to be the Graviton. Monk's going to proc the ultimate, but it is another 4K from Andrew as Monk's ult cannot do much of anything there. It's going to fall. Haru is going to get slightly staggered. 40 seconds left. One more push, Dell.
One more push, we are going to see the combination of Graviton from Lib Memory and Haru available, but we are going to see the sneaky position of Nova once again, but he isn't going to find all that he...
Yeah, just trying to find a little something. Mr. McDouble is hitting the go button, though, for the Panthers. They just want to stall this. 20 seconds till overtime. Dunless is going to look for the Earthshatter. Doesn't get much of anything. Nova does fall first, though. Jeff Wood's trying to keep Transcendence alive around with Arkham Knight's beat, and it is keeping them alive. It is going to possibly force overtime. Monk might fall in the support duel to Mr. McDouble, but just kidding. That's a Zenyatta, the most deadly of the supports. And with Andrew falling as well, it took to overtime, Dell. But once again, point A is going to go to the Green Knights.
We saw the same story that first fight where Nova was dropped very, very quickly, which is just kind of the key. But we just didn't see Eclipse have quite the same effect because the focus fire went directly from Nova to Eclipse, which was the correct call. And with 30 seconds left on the clock, we are going to have to see Lib Memory and Haru get the team wipe that they need. So hopefully the Graviton is extra thick from Lib Memory.
Yeah, and Eclipse, though, has a chance to use a counter Graviton. There's going to be the one from Lib Memory. The bomb from Haru is going to come in. Nova's going to fall. Eclipse falls. The D.Va bomb does not get anything, but still 2 members have fallen. Andrew is going to get demeched and maybe taken down. Mr. McDouble falls, so they are still pushing through. The ultimate gave them zone control, Dell, and they took it to key usage here, getting 1 tick, getting the second, and getting close to the third. They're trying to get there quickly, but Eclipse going to charge in as Hamster to get something, gets pushed off point. Contest comes in from Andrew right towards the end of that, keeping the very last tick available, and D.Va Bomb's going to come through from Andrew. Get zone control, does actually take out Spaghetti. That is big, but the ult was already used, and now Jeff Woods and Mr. McDouble using both those support ultimates, just trying to force the Green Knights from stopping them from finishing this map. Haru going to use the bomb as is almost demeched. Not going to get anything but space. That is the sliver of tick they're left on point B, but it's not going to matter because the rest of the Green Knights are falling. This time, the spawn advantage was too much, Dell.
Apparently, 99.8% not only is not good enough for my professor to round up my grade, but also not good enough for the Green Knights there. They got incredibly close, but they did not get that capture. So that means they are fading do or die here on this.
99.9% Dell. That might be the first time I have ever seen an offense stall at that percentage.
Exactly.
And so, and
being so close is just one of those things that is just so nail biting. You know, that when you look back at the VOD, that could be one of those moments that you just said 0.1% away from that victory. And that's something that is just incredibly mentally straining to deal with. So hopefully we see a defense here that is big and bad, just like we saw from the Panthers.
It's a 5-minute timer for the Panthers. It's going to be a tall task for the Green Knights because the first time around, this offense was just insanely strong. They've switched it up here on the Green Knights, though. Haru is on May instead of a Bastion this time around, but still, it is going to require a cap from the Panthers.
Exactly. And so this is one of those things where it might not look just as well smooth or normal as you would see typically, but it is one of those things that match is still very much anyone's hands. You know, the May might be the success tool that we need to see the Green Panthers get their first map win and fight back into the series.
Yeah, and with the Panthers putting Mr. McDouble onto that Widowmaker instead of the Brigitte that has been the choice all series so far. We'll have to see what the changes bring. This is already a better start to the defense as Nova gets taken down to start, and Eclipse is forced to back up. Not going to be a 1v6 hero in this fight. Mr. McDouble did switch over to that Brigitte. Is going to fall with Jeff Woods, and already, Dell, as I said, a better start for the Green Knights.
The classic, bro, I'm going to go Widow and get some picks did not happen there from Mr. McDouble and ultimately led his team to start a disadvantage. And that could be all the Green Knights need here to get established in this fight. We are going to see a lot of ult charge on the defense, and that's going to be a big decider here. Hopefully Dunless can show up in the same way Nova has before with a big Earth Shatter to win that first.
Yeah, and they're going to look for it. Monk 90% on the charge. Live Memory 95. Dunless is getting there at 80. We'll have to see what they can do. Haru's just waiting in the wings, trying to be a nuisance on this May while they charge up ults. 3 ults now available for the Green Knights to 1, almost 2 for the Panthers. This is situations we haven't seen the Green Knights in much this series, and they're just holding right now, but allowing the Panthers to charge up ults. But Eclipse gets taken down in a second. Monk with a huge pickoff there, and that was go for the Green Knights. The Graviton is going to come through, but it's not really going to get anything because a great transcendence from Jeff Woods, and Nova answers back in a huge way with that Earth Shatter. Dunless is going to fall. Monk's transcendence was enough to at least delay, but a wonderful Earth Shatter once again from Nova forces them through. They are already on to the point. They have forced the Green Knights back, and it looks like, Dell, the Green Knights have one more stand on point B.
One more scan, but they do have a mailed and a shatter. And, you know, we did not see Dunless use that shatter in that point. And that's something that might come into question later. But a big graviton or a big mailed and a big shatter can turn this fight. In 3 minutes is definitely a doable defense here, as it's less time that you would have even normal.
3 minutes to go. Map number 3, the Green Knights in the O2 hole. The stage is set. Can the comeback begin? May's going to already try and disrupt. The Graviton's going to come through, though. Catch 3. Nova falls in the beginning, though. Spaghetti is going to fall, and Arkham falls. So this is Green Knight's number advantage as Mr. McDouble gets taken down by Live Memory. Andrew is forced to just back up. As with the supports down, the Panthers don't want to take the fight.
They don't want to take the fight, but you notice that Eclipse got away with some charge, I believe, on Zarya, which is going to be very, very good. Having a high charge Zarya allows you to burn that shield a lot faster than normal. So even though that fight did not go the right way, they did get a little bit of a resource here. But the ultimates in the form of Earth Shatter is going to be available for both sides, but there is a rally and a Graviton in the favor of the Green Knights.
Yeah, and with Monk almost at that transcendence as well, the Green Knights might have advantage here. Haru once again just trying to be a nuisance up at top. Monk is getting very, very close. Only 2 ults possibly facing them here from the Panthers as the Panthers decide to readjust, try to come from above and maybe look for a drop down here. Andrew's going to come around 66%. Not quite at the Diva Bomb yet. They're just going to try and rain damage. They're going to drop down in. The Mei Wall not going to be a huge separator. And Nova getting a 2-man Earthshatter, but it's not enough with the Transcendence coming through. The Graviton Surge just maybe trying to force them back. The charge from Nova not getting anything. Both rallies used as well. The fight's just going to continue on to point. No casualties yet. Nova and Dunless fall at almost the exact same time. Andrew does not get anything with that ult as Haru's going to use the Blizzard on point, just force them back. Eclipse falls. Mr. McDouble gets knocked back into the Blizzard and goes down. And with a minute and a half, Dell, the Green Knights are still in very strong position.
Very strong position indeed. This May has just been the opener that has gotten them footing in this series. We're not seeing the clean execution that we saw from the Panthers on earlier rounds. So we do see a lot of big plays being made from Haru there, as well as the memory.
And with a minute to go, Dell, only one ult available right now for the Green Knights, but they can charge those two up very quickly. Haru might get taken down here. Doesn't take a lot of damage, but Eclipse is the first casualty. Mr. McDouble and Jeff Woods fall also immediately. The Panthers have to back away with only 45 seconds. If Nova gets staggered here, Arkham forced to run away is not going to go down. 40 seconds, one fight left, but it's going to be ult advantage for the Green Knights.
One fight for all the marbles and potentially a traversal to a new map. And as we head later into the series, there is a lot less Goat's favorite map. So this could be all the Green Knights need. We are going to see Haru look for that wall. With 22 seconds remaining, this wall could be absolutely...
Yeah, and the Panthers may be learning, though, knowing Haru's there, trying to find a different route, but the wall might come through. It is. It separates Andrew and Nova from the rest of the team. The Graviton also keeps 3 members there, but they're not quite able to get a whole lot of damage because of a good just defensive play there from the Panthers. Dunless is the first casualty. Monk trying to get there with the Transcendence to keep the team alive. Andrew is going to fall. Jeff Woods counters with the Transcendence Zone, just barely able to get the Panthers onto the point as overtime ticked over. Blizzard's going to go down. It is going to get Jeff Woods and Arkham Knight. Mr. McDouble and Eclipse fall at almost the same time, and with only Nova there to try and get onto the point, the charge not getting anything. Dunless just shattering the hopes of the Panthers for a 3-0.
Like we said, maps change and compositions change, and we are going to see Haru lead his team to their first map in this national finals of the EGF series. But Andrew is going to take his 3rd play of the game today as he gets that big...
Yeah, and I said in map 2, if we see this for a 3rd time, we might be looking at a 3-0, but the Green Knights, even with that again, held strong, Dell. We are going to Kings Row, map number 4 of this best of 5, and that was maybe the Green Knights' best map after that first offense, because they held it in and they really answered well.
They did answer well, and you have to remember, with Kings Row, while it is a very tank-favored map, Goats actually has seen some counters on this map just because of the nature of how Kings Row changes. One of the things that is a very old-school strat that I believe Mendu Sakai on FaZe Clan copyrighted was running a Bastion on high ground. Especially now with new Symmetra, Bastion on high ground is incredibly powerful. There's just so many different windows to counter Goats, much in the way of Kings Row. I mean, as Adamara.
Well, what's your expectation, Dell, on this Kings Row map upcoming? Because, as you said, there's less and less Goats favored, and we've seen Green Knights winning the non-Goats v Goats.
I probably do see Goats v Goats. The new evolutions of Kings Row are very, very recent with these new changes. So I don't think we're going to see all that we want to see. I think we're going to head right back into a Goats v Goats matchup. But the interesting thing will be the May pick, because now that the May has been drawn so far out of the bag, both teams can have the option to use it depending on whoever does on defense. And it looks like we are going to see the Panthers on defense first, so they might opt to run a May of their own, which could be what they need to counter what we saw Haru pull his team right back into the game with.
Yeah, and it really does feel like for the Green Knights, that combination of Haru and Lib Memory is their backbone right now in bringing this back. Rivsy and Monk have played really well at the support level, but as much as I hate to say it, Dell, Dunless has not really had the impact that we saw from him in the semifinals, and just Nova has been winning the Rhine kind of battle.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those things that can really set yourself apart in a Ryan v Ryan is just how you're managing to last long. Because the key to goats when you're playing Reinhardt is living as long as you can, which sounds kind of counterintuitive because you see a lot of aggression and a lot of very fast play from Reinhardt. But ultimately, uh, whichever Reinhardt lives the longest typically is the fight winner. And so something that we are seeing from Nova that we aren't seeing from Dunless is just a lot of kind of coordination on how his team is keeping him alive. We see a lot of Mr. McDouble's ease from Brigitte go right into Nova just to keep him up when he's on that critical HP. Also, the shatter plays are just set up in very good ways. Nova's constantly catching Dunless off guard just with little tweaks in his positioning or possibly even pinning from a spot that you wouldn't expect. So all of that I think we need to see to even up this Rhine game here is just a little bit of a awareness change from Dunless, because Dunless has incredible patience, and that's something we saw in the semifinals. But that patience sometimes just can be thrown to the window for an all-out aggression.
And we'll have to see. You mentioned we're probably going to see goats v goats. It is at least going to be that way for point A here, Dell. Haru and the Green Knights, though, going with that kind of configuration that won them Hanamura with the Mei, and they're just going to roll right out, try to get momentum here early, and they're going to be up against this GOATS defense from the Panthers that has been fairly strong throughout this series, running through Hotel, trying to come around from the side into the firing squad of Eclipse and Andrew, though. Jeff Wood's already up to 37%. Mr. McDouble getting taken very low as Haru's going to take a lot of damage as well. Nova, the first one down, though, and now the Rhine is only Dunless as Andrew's going to push through, trying to get something, get frozen. The shield going to be big from Eclipse there, but now Eclipse may be caught out a little bit away from the team. The Mei wall from Haru coming up big again. We saw it in Hanamura. We're seeing it already on this first point. Andrew going to get taken down, or demeched and taken down. Mr. McDouble taken down, and that was maybe the cleanest push we've seen from the Green Knights all series.
Exactly, and momentum is just all that they needed. It seems like it, and they're fighting their way back into the series. Haru is playing very aggressive with his Maywalls, which is just opening up chokes that are not traditional in the game because of the way Maywell works. And that's been a big key success tool here. So hopefully Haru can continue to find all that he wants with these big Maywells.
Yeah, and we're almost going to see 6 ultimates possibly here, Dell, as Dunless and Haru are eclipsing 90% right now on those charges. They are up against 4 ults of their own once Eclipse gets this Graviton, but that might still be the advantage the Green Knights need, as their patience we saw in the semifinals was key. The wall just forces the defense back a little bit further. The fight's going to start dueling Gravitons. Rivsy's the first one to fall. Earthshatter came through from Nova. All the ult buttons were pushed on the side of the Panthers. They're still done with his Earthshatter. If he looks to get it, it does get one, but is going to fall for it. And Andrew gets another with the Diva Bomb that is enough to stall this offense away and force the Green Knights back.
So what we saw there is why Diva's running typically over May, and it's just because of the fact that Diva Bomb eliminates, well, Mail just stuns and freezes, and so that's just a little bit of a difference there. While the May does work wonderful ways, when comes to a grav fight, Diva Bomb reigns supreme in the form of ult.
Well, and Rivsy not being able to use that rally, as we see now being used because of how early the fell in the fight. They're just trying to push through with that Brigitte ultimate, not finding purchase right now. Nova is going to be the first one to fall. Arkham Knight going down as well. The wall stopping the retreat from the Panthers as they just fall to the wayside, as Andrew getting demeched and taken out. Only Arkham Knight, I believe, running away.
Exactly, and one of the things that you're seeing here is a key difference is that the fights that are heavy ultimate usage, we see the Panthers take just because they're disciplined with goats. But any fight where it's not determined by ultimates, Haru is just making big impact with his May. And so what we're going to see here, hopefully, is a beautiful Grav Blizzard combo that will lead their team to capping the second point here on King.
We'll have to see. Nova has that shatter if they want to look for something big for a stall here. Haru's just going in for it. There is that combo you were looking for. It is frozen members of the Panthers all around, and it is instantly all 6 of them falling. A team wipe there, and the second point capped.
the polar vortex has found its way right back into our game here, reminding us how cold it is here in the Midwest. But we are going to see a lot of ultimates on this defense now, and this is something that just one good ultimate from Nova or a good combo from Eclipse and Andrew can get right back into the.
Yeah, with 4 minutes on the clock, it's a tall task, but not impossible one. We've seen some insane holds on this third Kings Row point. The Green Knights fighting momentum back into this series, however, see if they can keep it up. They are going to be against possibly 5, 4, or 6 ultimates. Nova whiffing, though, but Andrew with a 3K Diva Bomb could be huge. The Transcendence from Jeff Woods keeping the member of the Panthers healthy as Haru, Monk, and Dunless all go to the wayside. They used 3, maybe 4 ults for Adele, but they do get the stop.
They do get the stop, but Nova also got a lot of charge there just because he got to swing a lot in that Graviton and just build another shatter right back up, which is just the power of Reinhardt and Goats. But we are going to see Dunless have a little bit of time to find that window. And if Dunless can get a big shatter, the time bank is going to be very, very good for the Green Knights.
Yeah, they're going to push through. We saw Andrew and Eclipse actually switch over onto their own Mei Zarya, so they're looking for the same thing. Mr. McDouble used the rally. Nova got a huge shatter. Wasn't able to follow up on it because of the freeze from Haru. Blizzard's going to go down with the Graviton, so another good combo here from the Green Knights, but they're capitalizing on it wonderfully. Nova, Andrew, Arkham, Jeff Woods all falling. It is just a read-off of the Panthers roster on the kill feed as the Green Knights trying to push through here for the finish. They are going to see a Hammond pull in here. Andrew getting there just in time, 3 meters away from finishing this push. The hamster ball just going to be as annoying as physically possible as Jeff Woods trying to get damage in, gonna get taken off on the side. Rivsy was taken out. Dunless with a shatter that gets a little bit done and a charge to pick off Eclipse. It is only Spaghetti gonna go down. Nova charging in 2.5 meters away, but once again the respawn's not close enough. 2:25 left on the clock and a completed round 1.
Exactly, and that's still a big amount of time. Kings Row typically you don't see that much time in the form of time bank. Usually you see kind of an overtime completion or maybe just a minute or two, but 2.5 minutes is a big time difference. And the other thing that we saw is a matching in the Mei from Eclipse to kind of put some pressure on Haru, and that's something that works very good. But as we saw before in the first and second fights, the time that Mei excels is when neither team has ults. So because Eclipse swapped into the Mei with ultimates on the other side, they weren't able to find the success that they needed to. I think that what we're seeing is a little bit of frustration in the form of the Panthers. They're just not finding the success that they wanted to. And so what they need to do to kind of pull themselves back into this game is just go back to their core gameplay. Because you have to remember, when it comes to a core Goats aggression, they have come up on top multiple times.
Yeah, and it's just going to be key here. Both the offenses have been fairly strong. We need to just point that out at the start. With the exception of maybe the Route 66 offense from the Green Knights, both of them have done a lot of work in this series. So this map is far from over, Dell. And if they start in this matching situation that they're currently showing, the Panthers have still shown advantage in being able to run through them.
Exactly. And, now that we are going to see a Mei v Mei battle, the advantage does go to the defending team just because of how the choke point works. I think that what's going to happen here is it's all going to come down to this first fight, because advantage is going to come in the form of tempo, and tempo will control the fate of this map here in the EGF final series for the Panthers versus the Green Knights.
Yeah, and we see the Panthers maybe taking a more cautious approach than what the Green Knights did, going up around the flank, maybe trying to get just a little bit of room here, going over the wall and splitting up here around the fight. They're going to just push through. A couple of them were considering going through Hotel on the side there, but not just going to try and run straight through. Mr. McDouble's the first one to fall, though. Haru gets traded. In return, Nova is able to barely survive. Dunless gets taken down, and with Nova still alive, this is kind of something we pointed out, Dell. The Rhine difference has been Nova's ability to survive some of these extended fights.
Exactly, and one of the things that's consistently been a factor in that is Haru's positioning. He seems to be a very mechanically gifted player, but ultimately his positioning is leading his team to overextend or be caught off guard. And I think that's just something that it's just a small difference, but it is a difference that is leading the Panthers to take advantage in these Goats matches.
Yeah, and they're going to push through. This is where we saw the Panthers get a decent hold on defense, and can they answer anything or can the Green Knights find an answer back? It is ult advantage though for the KT Panthers, as Andrew Nova have that combination. Eclipse is very close to being able to add Blizzard to it, and the payload's gonna start moving into the streets here. We'll have to just see what the Green Knights have in store. Only Rivsy's rally. Haru getting taken down immediately. Eclipse finding the pickoff, and now one of the paths of flanks is cut off. They're just going to push through. Dunless falling. No ultimates used on the side of the Panthers yet, as they don't need them, as they're running through. It's only Monk trying to win this duel with Jeff Woods, but Jeff Woods has a Zarya, so that's a little bit of an unfair fight.
A little bit unfair, but one of the things I'm loving from the memory, he's never dying. He's always keeping himself alive. And Zarya maintaining that charge is gonna give you room. You know, he doesn't need to charge the graviton, but that threat of a high pressure Zarya just gives your team so much utility of damage to work with. And now it's gonna come down to a fight of about 12 ultimates, maybe not the Mr. McDouble. So the execution here needs to be flawless.
And Rivsy's gonna start off with the rally immediately. They're gonna look for, there's the graviton. All of the R buttons are being pushed down, and right now that is in favor of the Green Knights, but a huge drop the beat from Arkham Knight keeps them alive. A counter drop the beat though keeps the members of the Green Knights topped up. The Blizzards and Gravitons not finding much of anything. Spaghetti and Dunless fall. Nova fell with the Shatter still up, so if he can get back into this fight, Andrew paid, but Haru and Rivsy are going to go down. You mentioned the unkillable live memory. It's not going to matter if you're the only one there, as the rest of the Green Knights are forced away. A lot of ultimates, Dell, but in the end, the Panthers just keep pushing.
The Panthers kept pushing, you know, they just had the advantage in the form of not dying to that initial ult usage from Haru and the memory. But Live Memory is going to have built another graviton for himself, which might catch the team off guard. And you have to remember there's no divas in play and no support ultimates at the moment. So if Live Memory can get a grab quickly before Jeff Woods chances up, there might be a nice win here for the Panthers.
Yeah, but for the Green Knights, but Jeff Woods is charging that ultimate so fast. It has to go now. There's the graviton. Jeff Woods only at 97%, but Nova with the shatter trying to buy time. Doesn't allow the Green Knights to get close. Jeff Woods now has Transcendence, is going to use it, as Dunless is the first casualty, and now Rivsy is too far forward, getting pushed back. Haru got charged and taken down by Nova. That was a slight, brilliant charge there from the Panthers. Reinhardt, as they are pushing past this turn, and they can see the ending straight away with 4 minutes on the clock.
And we did see a lot of stall here on that last defense, so this time could be equalized, but we are going to see Dauntless have to show up before the Andrews and Eclipse's Graviton come to survive, because there is a Haru on Diva to block it, but it still could be a very successful.
Yeah, and they use the wall to make sure the Graviton cannot be blocked. Rivsy is going to get frozen, as will Spaghetti and Dunless, just the members of the Green Knights not able to stay out of that ultimate. Monk forced to use Transcendence, but Transcendence does not stop environmental kills. 345, and even more dominating offense coming out from the Panthers.
And the Panthers are they're showing the discipline that we've praised the Green Knights before for, and the discipline in positioning is what is leading them to win fights, because of the fact that Nova is just outliving Dunless. It's making it a very difficult fight, and one of the things that we're also seeing continually is that a lot of stuns and freezes are being allocated towards Dunless, which is making Dunless's life as Reinhardt very difficult. You know, if he just doesn't have quite the same resources from his team, when you're frozen, you're stunned, everything is going your way. It's very hard to do anything on Reinhardt. And we are going to see both teams open up with Mei, though, and so it could come down to whoever gets this first push and win, because with the nature of overtime and the nature of ults, we could see a 6-6 push from both sides very easily.
Yeah, and we saw both teams first time around, they'll cap this first point so quickly on their first offensive run that 2.5 minute time bank probably won't come into play for this first push.
Exactly. And so hopefully what we see here is some smart play from the Green Knights on attack here. You know, we saw the Panthers position in a way of taking movie theater and going out the high ground to deny Mei. So hopefully they're just as clever with their pathing to point.
And we'll have to see, but they look like they are. You kind of called their pathing there, Dell, up into the theater and up to the second floor, maybe trying something very similar to what worked for the Panthers. Haru gonna take a couple of chunks of damage there, though, early, and forced to the statue, not able to get the flank that they got this first time around. Haru's going to look for it, but the rest of the Panthers know what they're going to do. And now the fight happening on point. The Maywall is going to come out to try and set Nova apart, but a counter Maywall means they can't get much of anything. Dunless is taken solo, is able to stay alive, but not quite long enough. Rivsy falls. It is a trade of Brigettas, but without Dunless, that is not having that Reinhardt, and that is the members of the Green Knights being forced away.
And while the Green Knights did not want to have that happen, at least they got a little bit of ult charge denied as they kept a small majority of their members alive. But again, what we're seeing here is Haru just kind of running in with no abandon and getting picked off. And he's trying to make plays for his team, but his positioning is just not setting his team up for all of the plays that they want.
Yeah, and Graviton from Andrew comes out. It is only on to Haru and Rivsy, so it's not much there. The first, they are going to get 1/3. Nova's going to fall immediately, and that might be the button they need. Mr. McDouble falling as well. Andrew's trying to come around from the side, but the only member of the Panthers left alive does pick up Monk and will fall. So with a minute left on the clock, they're going to cap point A and try and get this push going.
And the very important difference here is that Andrew died very late. Also, he lost his charge. So not only will the Panthers not have their Zarya, they also will not be able to charge their Graviton nearly as quickly as Limery can for his team. And if they charge that Graviton combo, they might be able to win a fight just off of Grav and Haru using their ultimates together. So
Yeah.
hopefully the memory shows up big here.
If Andrew can get that charge, though, it is a full set of ultimates coming out from the side of the Panthers, but they're going to go for it. Nova with a beautiful shatter to just stop momentum. Rivsy going to be the first one down. Monk using Transcendence to try and keep the Green Knights alive as the Blizzard freezes them solid. Haru's going to fall. Spaghetti stays alive. A shatter from Dunless is good, but it's not quite enough as it was a good Maywall from Eclipse to keep them there, and time's going to tick down. 53 meters of a push.
53 meters was a good pitch, but again, we're just seeing time and time again, positioning and calls are just not going the way of Green Panthers. You know, we're seeing a disconnected offense with small little things they've normally not been punished for, getting them at a disadvantage. You know, dropping the B2 aggressor seems on paper the right play, but also what we saw happen was the team became very, very split and also very out of position. And that's something that just led them to losing that fight there on the second point of King's Row.
And Dell, I don't know if you caught it, but I'm kind of finding it funny. In that last fight, Andrew got the Zarya ult in the middle of the May Blizzard and was just able to get that off. And that actually might have turned the fight quite in favor of the Panthers right at the end.
I did not catch that, and that's a brilliant eye indeed, Vic. And one of the things that I'm really interested to see is how that these Gravitons are charged in this fight, because while this does look bad, we are working again with less time than normal. So a full first point hold could happen, and a second midway could hold as well. So hopefully we see Haru lead his team to a little bit more of a convincing fight.
Well, and one thing we've seen from the defenses is this first point can get a lot of ult charge, as you said, even without getting a successful defense, and that is something the Green Knights can still look to get, as the Panthers using a very similar strategy to their first push, going up through theater, trying to get in through the side there, and they're just going to drop right onto them. Dunless is the first one taken out by Jeff Woods. Eclipse is going to get frozen, not quite taken out, though. Haru does finally get that kill in the end. Not quite going to trade his life for it yet. Jeff Woods with the second kill for the Zenyatta, and they are pushing in. Numbers advantage here and spawn advantage means they can push through. And Dell, Jeff Woods is the main fragger now.
The DPS all belongs to him, as Jeff Woods going to pick up big kills. You know, again, we saw we've seen several times before, Haru was split and just ended up losing to the teamwork of Jeff Woods and his losing.
And Arkham Knight there with a pickoff, though. Monk going to trade life for it, so it's still 5v5 here. Rivsy going to get taken very low. Jeff Woods has that Transcendence already if they want to try and push for the fight. You can see the ending there. They can see where their championship lies, Dell, and they're going to push through. We have, I think, one more big fight here. As we're going to see, Nova gets taken down early, though, from a beautiful wall from I actually think Haru placed a great wall there. Dunless is going to fall down. Mr. McDouble getting 2 more kills. The Graviton going to come through, but a great Transcendence keeps them alive. Haru's Blizzard is going to freeze Mr. McDouble, but not enough to get any kills there. With Memory's going to fall. Haru falls. It is down to Spaghetti, and with the wall there, Monk going to be the next one to fall. The Panthers are going to push through, and the Panthers have claimed the championship.
Your KT Panthers will be your EGF national champions, and in a big way too. That was a 3-1 victory, which was very convincing at times. So, we did see a lot of good fights from the Green Knights, but ultimately Andrew showing his absolute dominance, taking every play of the game with another big 3K.
Yeah, that was actually pretty insane. And Dell, that's going to be it for season 2. Any last words to close out what has been a really exciting season?
I've been a big fan of all these high school guys. We've been doing this for quite some time now, and one of the things I love to see is that the competition has not only grown more fierce, but we've seen both sides of players. We've seen players that start off at a lower SR climb, and I think that it's been really wonderful to see all these players climb and progress. We've seen crazy compositions with Junkrats and 5 DPS and all sorts of things happen, but time and time again, we've also seen these players improve and grow to levels that I never thought, and they probably never thought themselves they'd get to. So I just want to say, well thought to both teams here today. Well thought to all teams in our championship. And again, thank you for tuning into our EGF series here. It's been a pleasure, and I've honestly loved every moment of it.
Absolutely, Dell. I have indeed. It's been great fun. But thank you, everyone, for the final time in season 2 for tuning in to the EGFH National Finals with the Kaynor Tech Panthers taking the victory over the Notre Dame Green Knights. And they are your national champions for season 2 of EGFH. You can follow us on at official EGF on Twitch and Twitter for updates and announcements as season 3 is coming up soon. But I'd like to finish this by thanking our sponsor Mob Crush for helping us multi-stream this entire season. My name has been Victor Vic Sharp Watney, and you can find me on Twitter at the Vic Sharp.
And my name is Dell, and you can find me at Dell Overwatch. And I want to say thank you again to the players, the coaches, all the participants, even the moms out there. And one of the things that I hope to see is your smiling faces for the next season of EGF in season 3.